takes a little time to get going.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Hey guys.
Hey, this is Wicked Spursy. Mike, Steve, and Dave. Boys, how you doing? Listeners, how you doing? Mike, what's going on?
You know, I was off at it's a funny story. Since
How funny is it?
yeah, how funny is it? I was off at my daughter's volleyball game today. She played at Vermont Commons School. Most people obviously don't know that it's a private school. It's progressive, very liberal private school. So, right off the bat, when I got there, I was like, oh, every car's got a Bernie sticker and an Elizabeth Warren sticker. I know where I'm at. These are my people. And of course I walk in and there's a dude with dreadlocks, and every kid there on the opposing volleyball team, had different color hair, or like they were all very unique kids. And I gotta say that, like, the crazy thing about it is that they're all so happy and optimistic, and like they're the most intensely happy children that I've ever seen in my life. And then it didn't matter whether they were scoring points or not. It didn't bother them. They were just intensely happy, but they're all great athletes, and it was just fun to watch. But the real funny thing about it is that my favorite band is Fish, right?
Really?
Yeah, we've talked about
Never
this.
would have guessed.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there talking to Amy, and we're waiting for the game to start, and we're making.
Are you sure it's not Huey Lewis?
We're making some jokes. It's not Huey Lewis, but I do love Huey Lewis too.
Actually, it's
making some jokes, and I said, oh, there's Mike Gordon. And she goes, okay, yeah, cool. And I was like, no, he's standing right there. And I was like, immediately, like, I get like teenager at a boy band concert,
Steve, now we know why we're late starting the pod tonight. Mike was fanboying out with
what's really crazy is that, like, I took a picture of him. I kind of sniped a picture of him, and then sent it to my buddies, and they all got a kick out of it. And then while I was texting it to my buddies, this picture that I had taken of him, kind of creepily, he sat right down next to me.
Nice.
Right fucking next to me. Guess how many words I said to him the entire time?
0.
2. Hey Mike.
Man. Hey Mike, there you go. You know what you should have done, Mike? You gotta break the ice with, like, dude, busted. Like, I legitimately took this shady picture of you, was sent it to my friends. I'm so embarrassed. What's up, Mike? I'm Mike. Like, that's how you make it happen. You could be at his Christmas party if you would handle that properly, but instead you're just the weird dude that was saying.
I've been to parties at his house when he wasn't there.
That's classy.
Does anybody else know you were there?
Yes, his drummer for his solo band actually dated one of the nurses that I worked with. So yeah, so it wasn't really a party. They were small get-togethers,
just a soiree.
Yeah. So that's my story about that. But other than that, like, great weekend. The boy had soccer tournaments in Massachusetts, and individually he killed it. As a team, these kids, like, they put together some great halves of football, much like our favorite professional soccer team. Great halves of football, and they couldn't really put together the full package, but it was great to get these kids outdoors and see what they could do on. And this is like the year where they start playing on the bigger field, the 9v9 field. And it was great to see how their learning of, like, patterns of playing the Dutch style of playing soccer is kind of developing from the back out, right? From the bottom up. But it's really neat in how they're, like, learning to use those patterns of play. And watching the game beforehand, it was like, holy shit, how are we going to compete with these teams? Well, when one style meets another style, things completely change. Like, the other teams didn't understand that we were being physical, that we were passing the ball all over the fucking place. And it was a little bit different. and defensively, we just kind of suffocated these teams. But it was fun. It was really fun. And I got to do one of my favorite things to do on the interstate on the way home. When everybody,
Mike?
When everybody went to sleep in the car, I drove like a race car driver. I drove very fast, meaning I was hugging the inside corners
with your wife and children in the car.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was hugging those inside corners and coming back around and pretending that I had a guy in my ear every time I came upon a car that was saying overtake.
You're doing great, mate. push.
Yeah, me and Daniel Ricciardo are right there. But so no, it was a good time. We had a great time. It was a good weekend, and you'll get to see a little bit later on what else I did out when I was there. So
all right, excited about that. Steve, over to you. How's it going, man? What's up?
It's going pretty well. I got to see I got a date night with my wife this past weekend for the first time in eternity. We went to go see the new John Wick. It was a lot of fun. We watched the movie and it just reminded me, because I watch a lot of movies. It's one of the things I like to do when kids go to bed and I just have time to myself to just unwind and not have to listen to the same 3 kids TV theme songs over and over again. And I really appreciate when you've got a good, solid action movie that doesn't cut 80,000 times during an action sequence. Like, the camera's static. You can follow along what's going on. They have to rely on, choreography and just doing everything right without fancy camera work or anything. That was great. It was a good time. We really enjoyed it, both of us. Lots of fun action, different sound choices, which were great. Like Natalie was particularly high on this German club music that they had for one of the action sequences. And she's been raving about that. She's like, I really need to know like what that music is. Like, I've never
Was
heard
that a pun?
it.
Was that a pun?
I caught that.
She was raving about the German club music. Yes.
But yeah,
I think it's called the Dance of the Nagelsmann. I think that's what that song was called.
No, but great movie. Definitely worth checking out if you ever get a chance. And then, this week it's just been, we finally decided to contact a contractor to deal with, our privacy screen off our deck, which is hanging on by a thread and is probably one solid storm away from flying off into the neighbor's house. Probably want to get that fixed quickly. But otherwise, this warm weather has just made me feel so much better about things, which is kind of interesting considering how our football club is doing everything in their power to make the end of the season as miserable as possible. So
yeah, that's an understatement for sure. Steve, you just made me think of a couple things just really quickly. This warmer weather, and for listeners, like, we're talking, getting out of the 20s and 30s and getting into the 40s and 50s. That's what we get excited about this time of year. And those are Fahrenheit numbers, by the way. Like, I went out, working from home. Steve, you understand this. My mornings tend to be more open than the rest of the day. So I'll try to, whether it's go to the grocery or just get on top of laundry or like whatever the stuff is that I try to get done other than work. One day this week, I went outside and I picked up sticks in my yard, and I just had fun, like picking up sticks, which is a major issue after a winter of all the crap. Yesterday, I literally cut down like 4 medium-sized trees that were like starting to infringe upon other things. It's like, hey, these bastards are coming down. Like, being able to get outside and do all that without freezing your butt off is a good thing. And when the sky's blue, you're like, this is nice. I can feel the heat. The other thing you made me think of, Steve, you talk about a date night. When our kids were young, we lived in Chicago suburbs at the time, and the town we lived in was a great town, had a fantastic downtown that I would basically describe as like Church Street cubed, like just tons of restaurants, tons of shops, just a really, really cool area in general. And the church that we attended was about 5 minutes from the downtown. On Wednesday nights, they would have like this kid programming. And so we would take our kids and drop them off on Wednesday nights. We're like, hey, date night, we're going to go hit a restaurant. We'll pick them up in 2 hours. And without fail, they'd always be like, hey, we're looking for volunteers. You know, would you be willing to hang around? It's like, nope, got plans. We'll see you. We'll see you at 8:30. We'll talk to you later on. So yeah, I missed those just weekly built-in Wednesday date nights. That was a good gig. With a young kid, trust me, stay on top of those, man. Like make those happen.
Ditching out on the church that is watching his children.
Yes, that was what we did, and it was for our marriage, and it was a great call. So it's all.
Oh, it was for the marriage. That's
absolutely true. Yeah, like relationship building, bonding over food, and shared experience.
Yeah, wonderful.
Having some peace and quiet.
That too, absolutely, that too. Don't worry, I put in enough time in other ways there, so all good. I earned the date night. But hey, let's talk. Let's share the wild and crazy thoughts we have that are different from what every other podcast in the world has been saying about the state of Tottenham Hotspur. Anybody?
I think I do have a thought that is probably different than most, at least based on what I'm seeing online.
So an unclaimed hot take is what you're about to drop here. Is that correct?
Potentially an unclaimed hot take.
Let's hear it.
I honestly do not give a shit about the stuff going on with Prodigy. I really don't. People are making it out like, oh, well, the club should have, had foresight. The club should have done that. It's like, does it change anything? It really doesn't, right? Like, we're still going to have to hire a new manager. That's going to happen. Whether or not his input was like, we were already seeing news stories earlier this week before this news broke that, Levy had his list and Prodigy had his list, and they were already in conflict because they were different profiles of managers. And, at the end of the day, Levy's the one who's going to make the decision. So it's like, if he's the one making the decision, then who gives a fuck what happens to Prodigy? It's not like he was going to be that instrumental in getting that manager in. And, outside of that, the transfer window doesn't open until the summer anyway. He had his appeal scheduled for mid-April. So like, it's not like we're worrying about any transfer business happening right now. So people want to make villains out of Levy, out of the club, and try to find reasons to pass the blame around. And maybe it's warranted to some capacity, but I just don't give a shit. It is meaningless to me. That is like furthest from my mind of things to care about right now. First and foremost is who we bring in for a manager. And honestly, if Prodigy can't have a hand in that based on the profile manager that he was looking at, I think we're in a better spot.
This is the dude who wanted to bring in Gattuso, right?
Yeah, and I think, Mike, so interesting like distinction there that I want to make, because Steve, I totally agree with you, and Mike, I agree with what you just said. I do think I could care less about Prodigy and where he lands, but I will say I think from a talent acquisition standpoint with players, when we look at what he did, Romero, Decky, Bentancur, Destiny, Jed, some of those are projects that haven't landed yet, but like there's been, and some of them may have been Levy projects, right? We don't know where the truth lies with all that, but I think he's good at identifying guys that can come in and help. And I would love to see him operating without the weird Conte influence, but I also don't care. Like, I think that,
yeah, well, I think that, okay. Yeah, we can move on, but I think that like, maybe
I don't mean on the topic. I just mean like
maybe he was good at that because he bought Romero for Nuno, right? So that was the first thing. But he also bought some guys who didn't fit within the Conte system. I don't believe that he was working that closely with Conte. Basuma was never going to work in Conte's system. I thought he might have been able to, but if he's going to bring in guys, if he's going to work to bring in guys that one are going to be loaned out immediately,
yeah,
whether they needed to or not, or two, bring in guys that are never going to play, and he knows it. And Conte probably told him, well, bring him in, sure, he's never going to play.
You know what's crazy, Mike? I forgot about Basuma. How nuts is that? Like, just
well,
lost and overlooked.
Yeah,
he's lost and overlooked because it took him so long to get into the team, and then when he did, he started to get better and better, and then like he had better performances week after week,
and then he got hurt.
He just got hurt. Like he would have been invaluable when Bentancur went down. But then we maybe never would have seen Skip. So it's going to be important. I don't know how much of a positive influence on the club that Prodigy was outside of decking Bentancur, to be honest. Romero's been there, and he gets injured a lot. Like, so sure, these players are probably good, but they got to be able to work under a manager that he, as the director of football, should have picked to work with the players. But now we just have like this entire Conte project. We don't have a Conte team. We have a collection of players that
it's like an island of misfit toys is what
it's like, right? It's like fucking Chelsea. It's just like a collection. It's like a collection of players that we probably overpaid for. We probably overpaid for Pedro Porro, but we may not have gotten him, otherwise. We, probably overpaid for Jed Spence, but we don't know what he could have brought. I mean, he fucking, bopped PSG on the head the other day. He for all of his defensive, his shambles on the defensive side that we've heard about, him and his club blanked PSG, right? 2-0. Like, and he played superb defense apparently. Like, I didn't watch the game and I didn't see any highlights, but from what I've read and what I've heard, Jed Spence shut down one of the better clubs in the world, on that side. So you never know what these guys are going to bring. Destiny might fall on his face. He who knows? The other thing is, like, he didn't get the deals done to get rid of the players that we actually have on our roster right now. True. That we still actually employ and have loaned out. He didn't actually get rid of those dudes. He just loaned them out.
True. He made them disappear from our minds, right?
Right. Although, to be fair, who's spending money on Ndombele? I mean, based on the performances that he's put in, I mean, well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, you would have to be stupid to spend money on him based on what he did in his Spurs shirt. You're putting somebody up against the wall. You're asking for miracles there at that point. I can't really blame him that much for it. It was just shitty purchases in the past. It's kind of like the Chelsea situation right now, right? They've got all these players in on huge deals over long periods of time. Any of them flop, they are fucked. They're in the same situation as we are. They're just going to have to keep loaning these guys out to get them off the books. And honestly, with the wages that I'm sure they've promised them, they're going to end up paying for them anyway, whether they're at the club or on loan. They're still going to have to contribute in some capacity. So
Daniel Levy is arguably a smarter man than Todd Bowley, though. In the world of European football, the world of world football, he's arguably a smarter man, business wise.
I will say it is kind of rich, though, for the club to come and put out a statement about how they were completely blindsided by this ban decision. Like, I get that FIFA kind of stepped in before they had their day in court and pushed the ban worldwide, but to say that, like, you just weren't expecting that at all, like, that just feels a little tone deaf to me. Like, you really probably should have known that something might happen and have contingencies in place. I don't get that.
I think they did. I think they did. Come on. I mean, that's silly. It's a silly statement to make. And, like, we as Spurs fans have seen it happen over and over and over again. And even before we were, fans of the club, the other fans of the club, previous years and previous, owners, they see it over and over again. Previous managers, all this same shit keeps happening over and over and over again. I again, I don't believe in luck or curses, but I think Spurs might be actually cursed. There might actually be something to this.
What does the hamster of doom say about it?
The hamster of doom says 24 to 48 hours.
Till what happens?
Till we find
News.
out we find out news
I
about.
see you treading carefully there. I like what you did.
The hamster of doom is on his wheel, spinning right now.
Spinning, not sleeping.
Not sleeping, just spinning and spinning and spinning and hitting refresh and text. And the hamster of doom will predict that within 24 to 48 hours, something will happen.
Something will. You guys know what I love about what the club did with their statement about Conte? If you're an if you're an Office fan like I am, and this is the American Office, I tried the British Office, and I made the mistake of knowing the American one inside out before I watched the British one, which is the wrong way to do it. But there's a scene in like the later seasons where Dwight's like aunt dies, or not a grandmother, but somebody older in the family dies, and one of the neighbors who like the neighbor farmer whose daughter Dwight is sort of dating, and the farmer wants to like use Dwight to buy to share like a tractor purchase. I know this is just really random, but Steve's with me at least. Like
I'm with you.
He pulls up to the funeral, which is taking place in like a field, and he like comments about the woman. He's like, "You were 5'2", you had brown hair, you owned the largest plot of land after so and so, you lived 68 years." Like he just makes these really like matter-of-fact statements about her existence. That's what I loved about the Spurs statement about Conte. It's like all it said about him was the club achieved Champions League in his first year with the club. And then it's like we wish him all the best. Like, damn, it was like an Office funeral right there. It's like Dwight's aunt passing away.
All I can think of now is at the end of that when they start firing the guns. And Oscar's just like, "Nope, I'm out of here." I've done enough. This is too much.
Precisely. Can't go wrong with a little Office reference.
Did you see the now I don't, this is just a rumor, pure speculation. There's no, I've got nothing to back this up, but did you see that claim going around that Romero and Richarlison went to the club and basically gave them the ultimatum to like get rid of Conte because they were sick of him?
No, I didn't see that. Where'd you read that?
It was some journalist who was reporting on it, who's apparently like really close to the Argentine players, like he absolutely knows everything that goes on in Argentina's national team, and I guess he came out and was like, yeah, Romero and Richarlison, they hate him, they wanted him gone, and told the club as much.
Because it's a well-known fact that the Argentines love, and the Brazilians for that matter, love mayonnaise and ketchup.
Look, we got to give Richarlison credit for being the canary in the coal mine. Like he was the first one to publicly be like, "This is bullshit. Like I don't like the way he's doing things." Everybody else was towing the company line, but Richarlison spoke up. Then he got hurt, and then boom, it all went down.
One of the comments in that translated article. So again, there might be some context lost, but basically, Richarlison's beef was like, Conte, tossed him to the wolves for saying "I" instead of "we" when there were issues, and then when Conte was passing the buck in his explosive press conference, it was them, not me.
They, not I. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
so I mean, we can kind of surmise now who he was speaking about when he said, players are selfish and they only think about themselves, and we understand that's probably Richarlison. He's talking about how he only cares about his individual plaudits because he came out and spoke out against me. Like it's the only thing I can think of, because otherwise he's just trying to save his own skin.
How do you guys feel about this? I am curious your take on the whole the current managerial situation. I'm content with Stellini and Mason riding this thing out, but I think it's really intriguing that most of his staff, except for his brother who left with him, everybody else stayed put. Like, what's your assessment on that? What does that mean when it's all said and done? Don't overspeak each other, guys. Not all.
For me, it's people were clamoring for Stellini ball, when we went on that little winning run during Conte's absence. I want to see what it looks like when Conte's nowhere near the team. There's a part of me that thinks, Stellini's been with Conte for so long that it's just going to be Conte light. Like, we'll have the same tactics, same setup, same approach to the game, just without the explosive individual personality. I would rather see something fresh, something new, or at least some passion in the tactics or in the players when they go out in our next game. But I'm sort of reserving judgment. I think I honestly might have been happier if it was just Mason taking over, just because he's a known entity. I know what we're going to get. And that should be sufficient to see out the season. Having Stellini in there, that's more of an unknown. Like, are we really getting any improvement, or are we just going to see a lot more of the same? And, maybe the players are a little happier because they don't have somebody like Conte up their ass all day.
I don't think that we're going to see anything different. I think we're going to just try and see out the season. Hopefully work hard enough and get some sort of bounce to hopefully keep fourth, maybe fifth place. That said, like Stellini, we are under the assumption that, like, once Stellini took over in Antonio's absence, that Antonio was still making the team sheet. He was giving instruction to Stellini, via fucking Skype or whatever it is he was using. He was giving halftime talks, post-game talks. He called Harry Kane. We saw that. I think that Stellini might have a new lease on life here. It might give him an opportunity to be a football coach outside of what Antonio Conte does. And that might be a breath for him. Maybe he wants to show his worth here at Tottenham. Maybe he likes it here. That's not to say that I want Stellini, but I think it's very, very telling that they got rid of Antonio Conte, but did not get rid of Christian Stellini or any of the other staff that went along. So that tells us it's not a tactics thing. It's not it's not the style of play that got him fired. It was him that got him fired. And it's also very telling that Stellini and the rest of the staff didn't go, all right, Antonio's gone, we're the fuck out of here, just like Jose Mourinho did.
Yeah, right.
His staff followed him out the fucking door.
Yep.
So Daniel Levy gave Stellini the opportunity to take this team and said, you and Ryan do your thing. To make another Office reference, Ryan Mason is now the assistant to the regional manager.
Although props to I think it was Extra Inch I was listening to, highlighted that Mason's partner is like due to give birth in like 2-3 weeks, and that there's a hypothesis that Mason was the guy, but because of that impending like logical parental leave, that they needed to have another hand to go with Mason. So there's that piece. Here's a question for you guys. So let's imagine 10 games left. Let's say that we see a slight change in approach. Of those 10 games, Spurs win 5, draw 3, lose 2. And the players seem happy, the energy levels are up, and there's kind of like this went well. We like Christian Stellini. Could you get behind Christian Stellini as the next coach, or is it just like, nope, got to move on? It's got to be something fully different. What's that look like to you?
I think it's a disaster waiting to happen.
How come?
Quite honestly, I just think that, like, he doesn't. he doesn't have the experience necessary as a manager, a head coach to do the job. And I think we've seen it in the past at Tottenham, giving a caretaker manager the spot. How many managers has Levy appointed?
I think it's like 2022 or something crazy like that. It's a crazy number.
I don't know if it's that, but I mean, nobody stayed more than a year except for fucking Pochettino.
Yeah.
But how many? There are what, 2 or 3 caretaker managers that got hired. So I mean, I think it's a bad idea to hire a caretaker manager at Tottenham specifically. And not necessarily because of the past, but because of the fact that we need a change in attitude. We need a change in styles, that kind of thing. And I don't necessarily think that Christian Stellini is going to be the guy to do that. I think he's probably a very nice guy. I think the players seem to like him. I've been reading lots of stuff on that, but I just don't think it is the right time for him. And I don't think it's the right time for Ryan Mason either. Ryan Mason, he needs to coach at a championship level or something, maybe even lower, or in another European system. He just kind of got thrown into shit too with the Jose thing. We'll keep him around so we can just keep firing coaches until we find the right one, so he can caretake and then move on, to another position within the club. But I think it's a recipe for disaster for this club. We need to find a manager. Move. No, I mean,
it's like the backup quarterback role on an NFL team, right? Like, you can have a 15-year career and never really have to do anything. Just be that assistant coach who's always the caretaker manager. Like, you got a good gig there. I'm thinking it's a safe play.
Sure, Jeff Hostetler won a Super Bowl, but I mean, what did he do after that?
I don't know. Why don't you look him up and see what he's doing?
He was the caretaker after. He went to Washington and his career died.
Well, that's because he went to Washington.
Yes. Which is why we should not go after Lamar, because we don't need to kill Lamar. I mean, he's a wonderful quarterback.
It'd be a close trip for him, though, right?
That's where quarterback. Yeah, but Washington is where quarterbacks go to die. So
very, very true. Except for Doug Williams, the last good Washington quarterback.
Jay Schrader.
Nice shot there.
But no, the actual was Mark Rippon. He won the Super Bowl. Brad Johnson was also a good quarterback for us, and RG3 would have been phenomenal if not for a coach who shall not be named.
All right, fair enough. Steve, what are you thinking about in this moment?
Antonio Conte. It's Conte's fault that RG3's knee went out.
That tracks. What am I thinking about, Dave? I'm thinking it's about time we ask a very certain somebody
it's about damn time.
Listen to Mike. He's been listening to the radio.
That's my little Lizzo right there.
Yeah.
I love
Lizzo. I wonder
if Steve, what would the question to the certain someone be if you were going to ask it?
If I were to ask, well, now I want to know if Lizzo's going to make an appearance. Maybe that's something we need to get working.
I guarantee we'd be the only football pod in the world to have Lizzo on. That would be a score. If either of you guys have a hookup?
No,
Absolutely
but I would.
I'm not that cool.
I just told you how I froze up over Mike Gordon sitting next to me.
Yeah, true.
And I've met Mike Gordon 6 or 7 times.
You have no game, Mike. You really have no game at all when it comes to.
I would freeze the fuck up over Lizzo. I love that girl so much, and I love her music. Oh my god! Oh my god! I would wet my pants and cry probably.
So, since obviously we don't have a special musical guest in Lizzo coming on this show, I guess the only thing to tie our fan on YouTube over and our dozens of listeners who catch this the next day or day and a half after we post this is figuring out, hey, Mike, what you drinking?
Hey, Steve. Love it when you ask that question.
You'd love it even more if we had Lizzo on asking you that question.
God damn it, that'd be fucking dope. You know?
Now you have that song in my head too. I can't get it out of my head. I think we might call this one the Lizzo episode. I'm kind of feeling
I mean, About Damn Time also works as a good episode title.
That does have some connections. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So today, guys, this is what I was talking about before. On the way down, we left early in the morning, went down to Massachusetts for the tournament. We didn't need to meet anybody we had like a team dinner later on in the evening. So we needed to get the kids food. They were hungry. And I said to Amy, I was like, find a brewery. Because you know me, find a brewery that has food. And she was like, there's this place called Spyglass right in Nashua. And I was like, okay, cool. I said, does it have food? And she says, I don't know. I said, well, we're going there anyway. Now that you've said it, we have to go. So we went there, and this place was fucking cool. On our Instagram, I did a little "Hey Mike" right from that brewery. This place is like unabashedly like they don't give a fuck that anybody would ever say anything about them making only IPAs. They had like 2 beers that weren't IPAs one of them I just drank, which was a black lager. It was fantastic, called Tavern Beer. But they don't give a shit. They're just like, we like our beers hazy. Fuck you if you don't like it. That was basically it. And I love that. And their beers were outrageous. Outrageous. I haven't tried this one yet. This one is called Vortex. It's kind of cool. It's got a little water spout there.
Nice. I like
that. Yeah. It's a New England double IPA. And like I said, if they don't care, I don't care. We're doing another IPA. It says keep cold at all times, and it says live beer, drink fresh. It doesn't have any other fun stuff on there. That's it. Spyglass Brewing Company. It's brewed with Citra, Mosaic, and Eldorado hops. Wow, in the Whirlpool. And it's dry hopped as well, yeah.
Like in a washing machine?
No, when it starts to brew, when it starts to boil.
No, I get it.
Yeah, okay.
Whirlpool is also a brand. That's the joke.
Oh! Yeah, I only have GE in my house, so.
It's also the place Mike hangs out at the hotel when they go for soccer tournaments over the weekend, right?
No, actually, what happened?
Hey kids, I'll be in the Whirlpool.
The holy shit, it smells good. The kids all like immediately ran to the pool, right? We got there early enough, and all the kids ran to the pool, and like all the moms like were in the pool area, and they had a bottle of wine, and they made Amy finish the bottle of wine out of the bottle. Because we're all at the hotel, we're having fun. And they said, hey, the other dads are out at the hotel bar right now. So I was like, honey, I'll see you later. Nice. So I went out and we hung out and had a few beers. And then that night we had some dinner at a wonderful Mexican restaurant. And I had some amazing tacos.
That sounds good.
With blue corn tortillas. And I put that up on the Discord, the Extra Inch Discord. This beer is hazy.
I can see it. Yeah, it looks like orange juice. Ooh, it looks like old orange juice, actually, would be the color I would describe it as. Hey, Mike,
it smells so good.
It looks like it does. Before you dig into that, can I tell you a quick story? When I say the DoubleTree in Burlington, can you guys picture what I'm talking about? It's the hotel kind of right there by the hospital and the NUVM campus.
I park there every day. That's where my shuttle picks me up.
So when you remember a few weeks back, we were recording and I showed up late and then I had to bounce and then I came back in. Like that's where I was staying for that at that particular moment. And it was the weekend that Steve, I saw you at Mike's house, just to give you a frame of reference. So I was inside there with my son Nate, and that has like a big indoor pool and it's got a bar and a little restaurant area, and we were walking past the pool and he was like, man, look at that. And I said, dude, you got to understand, when I was a kid, they used to have these things, they called them holodomes. Holiday Inn had like these holodomes, which had a big indoor pool. And I said, my family, we would just go to that for vacation. Like that was fun. That was a big deal. And no lie, my son looks at me, he's like, Man, Dad, your childhood sounds bleak. I was like, but we were happy, we were happy just to go to the cheap Holiday Inn pool. But yeah, it's just funny. My childhood was bleak,
Dave.
right?
That's hilarious. I honestly think like that's half the draw for these kids when they go to these tournaments. Like,
is to go to the dumb pool, right?
The hotel have a pool. Does it actually have one that's going to work this time?
Nice.
Like last year we went to a tournament and the hotel claimed that the pool wasn't working, which is fucking bullshit because they knew that there were going to be 3,000 children at this hotel.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, it's closed.
There were like 3 different tournaments, 3 different sports.
We're all out of chemicals. Sorry, kids.
They just didn't want to deal with it. The pool's broken. God, this smells so fucking good. I can't wait for this.
Go for it. Looks good.
Citra is my favorite hop, and Mosaic really makes a juicy IPA. So,
while he's digging into that, I will say we got to enjoy a pool this weekend too.
You did?
Oh yeah, we've got just this last year. They opened up a year-round pool, like a block and a half away from my house. So during the winter time, they put a big dome up over it. It's heated, everything. We went.
Is it like a community rec, like almost park district type of thing? Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. No, it was great. Great time. Isaac loved it. At one point, we got like a snow squall coming in. So I was standing next to one of the emergency exits, just like, in a swimsuit, soaked from head to toe, watching it snow outside. Like, this is just all sorts of fucked up, but I love it. It was such a good time.
Next time you go, you have to tell me because I want to go to that place. My kids have been there, but
when I was a kid in my bleak childhood, the town I lived in had the world's first indoor wave pool. And so that was like a big thing. And, it was a big place to hang out. The problem was they designed this really cool wave pool, but they didn't account for the ventilation needs of a pool that's constantly churning and like stirring up all the chlorine in the air. And so like you would go into this place and you would leave with like bronchial issues, you know what I mean? Like you'd leave hacking and unable to breathe, and so
your eyes bugging out of your head.
Totally, yeah. It closed a lot sooner than it probably should have, but they really struggled with the chlorine. Mike, did we give you enough time to do an assessment?
Yeah, this beer's fucking evil. Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna drink another one
right now
in a few minutes.
Yeah, as we speak.
I'm gonna have another sip of it, and I'm gonna tell you what I think.
All right, give Steve and I a second to calibrate our decisions.
I've already told you that I like it.
Yeah, so that gives me a bottom end. So,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So, unlike a lot of hazy IPAs, when you pour them, there's no sediment coming out of this. Yeah, there's nothing like settling in the bottom of the glass, but maybe I just haven't let it settle enough. This beer's really, really good. It's tasty. It's juicy. It's not like, it's like orange juice. It is. It's like orange juice, maybe mixed with grapefruit juice. It's wild. It's got like wave after wave of flavor. Like when you're swallowing it, from like the second that you put it on your lips, it's so good when it hits the lips.
It's so good when it goes across your lips.
When you said
sorry
that,
about the old school reference.
When you said that, the person that I had on my mind was Guy Fieri. So that visual was like, okay, well,
that was a Will Ferrell.
That's a Will Ferrell. No, he's like this. He's like
so that's what I'm getting from this, man. I love this beer. My previous favorite beer was from a brewery in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. This might be my new favorite.
Uh-oh. Wow, we're into favorite level here, Steve.
Yeah, man. I want more of this.
It's gonna be tough.
He wants more of this. Yeah, like how high do you go? That's the question.
It's like 8% alcohol, so it's like it's fucking evil, man. Like,
yeah,
you can't get into too many of these, or you're going.
I'm just pulling the trigger on it, Dave.
You're going straight down the fucking vortex like you're in your toilet.
Steve, it's almost like we're doing like Price is Right bids. You know what I mean? Like
that.
Like
yours?
You get everything up there, and I get everything there. That's
Dave's like $598, and then Steve's like,
turn $598 and $1 penny.
$1.
Yeah, and 1 penny.
Dave, your selection is what I originally went with.
Yeah.
And then I just felt like I needed to make a slight change to it.
Well, thanks for giving me room to make that same selection. That was really, really kind of you. I like that.
I'm curious now. What do we have, Mike?
4.6.
Oh, damn it. I should have stuck with what I had.
That's what I'm talking about.
I thought maybe 4.6 for his new favorite beer would have been a little too low. I kicked it to 4.7.
I get the thinking. I get it. Yeah. Steve kicked it to 4.7.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, my favorite beers, like Focal Banger is one of my favorite beers of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But like that gets like a 4.9, like a favorite beer of all time gets a 4.9. Like this is one of my new favorites. I didn't say it was my very, very favorite.
Mike, tell me the brewery and the name of it just once more real quick.
It's Spyglass Brewing. Spyglass Brewing Company. They're in Nashua, New Hampshire. And it's cool. It's like you got to go through this industrial park. It's like way up on a hill, and you just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. It's like in the fucking clouds.
And which Lizzo song are you going with today?
No, but wait, it's called Vortex, right?
It's called Vortex. Yeah, it's a New England double IPA.
Yeah, which Lizzo song?
Which Lizzo song?
Because it's about damn time.
I'm not doing it. Oh, I got a good one. Holy Diver by Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right.
Holy Diver. Yeah, man. Fucking great tune.
Mike is feeling it. He's gonna polish this off, Steve, and get deep into another one and he's gonna be shit canned within 20 minutes as we wrap.
You know what that song's about, though, right?
No, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Well, I love that song. Dio is one of my favorite all times, and I will say he is right up there with Ozzy if you're going Black Sabbath. But he's also got a band called that he was in called Rainbow. It was a fantastic band. But Holy Diver is about Jesus Christ descending into hell after the crucifixion.
That's unpleasant.
Yeah. That is fucking unpleasant, right? You want to talk about this beer is as evil as that shit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So this beer is your descent into hell, is what you're telling me? I think it'd be a little bit more heavenly in terms of the way it makes you feel.
No, I think more than two of these is that
trouble.
It's trouble.
Something's getting broken or burnt, is what you're telling me.
It's like that first gin and tonic on a fucking hot summer day. You're finishing that fucking bottle. You are.
It's true.
Yeah. This is great stuff. I love it. And I will be going back there. The thing is, like, Amy was like, when we chose this place, she's like, it gets 5 stars. I say, yes, a lot of shit gets fucking Walmart gets 5 stars on fucking Google, But this place was cool. The food was good. The fries were fantastic. Yeah, everything about the place was awesome. And also, they had one of those shuffleboard things. Have you seen that? You know what I'm talking about? The big long shuffleboard tables.
Yeah.
Sure.
With the metal pucks. My son, like, straight off the fucking tip, like, was just like, boom, great at it.
I hear they give scholarships for college for shuffleboard playing.
I don't know if they do, but I'll tell you what, he might be able to get into a frat with that fucking with that skill. So he might be the president as a freshman. I don't know. That's not possible. Is it, Dave? You're a frat boy.
Probably not possible. And yes, I am, and proud of it. Mike, I do have to say this. Props to Amy. Like my wife Beth is a really cool person. We are on the same wavelength on things all the time, but she would eventually probably be like, David, another brewery. Like, whereas you're like, hey, Amy, find us a brewery to go to. And she makes it happen and picks good ones.
She likes,
props to Amy.
She's a wine drinker, but she likes breweries. Like our thing used to be like, we would just go to breweries. We'd drop the kids off at Nana's house or drop the kids off at Grammy's house. And then we would drive around and go to breweries. And that doesn't allow for a lot of actual drinking, but it does allow for some tasting and some buying of beers. But it's fun going from brewery to brewery and finding out where they are, finding a little bit about the town that they're in, that kind of stuff. Because the town will kind of inform you what kind of brewery they are, what kind of beers they make. It's really cool. I love the whole thing, and my wife is an absolute saint. In fact, she did just tell me that I should go to Jazz Fest in New Orleans because my friend James lives down there and I have a free place to stay. And she did say that I should go fly to LA to go see Fish at the Hollywood Bowl. She said I should do that.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know if she's tricking me.
Are you willing to take that chance?
I don't know. I really don't know.
That's a tough call. Let us know what you decide.
Yeah.
Curious.
Well, I'm not.
I would go with one. I wouldn't go with both. Like,
yeah.
Limit yourself to at least one.
Yeah. Do you go to Jazz Fest and see like 20 fucking bands?
Well, I'll tell you, the food is better in New Orleans, in my opinion. So,
well, the problem is the second weekend of Jazz Fest would probably not be possible because of the fact that we have a special guest coming on.
Aha, understood. Well, you could do it from a remote location and just be a train wreck. You know, Steve and I can carry the mantle for you.
I'm not going to fucking New Orleans and potting.
Sorry, guys.
Shit.
I got to take a break for an hour to.
Yeah. Did you see what
podcast?
I don't know if you listened to like Two Bears, One Cave. But
yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Kreischer did a thing with Adam Devine. Might not be a good idea to podcast during a trip to New Orleans. So
very good. All right, let us know.
All right, well, hey, that was the longest episode of Hey Mike. So
that's been Spyglass Brewery's Vortex, Mike's new favorite-ish beer, 4.6. Dave nailed the rating. And yeah, well done, man. Steve was right there as well. Steve, over to you. What's on your mind right now as we we've rounded third base, we're heading towards home.
Are you in the corner? Are you in the corner?
Nobody put Stevie in a corner.
No, I'm just
not anymore.
I've got one primary focus, just get Nagelsmann in. That's all I want. That's the only thing that I ask of this club right now. Yeah. He's available, young. He's, one of those guys who if we don't get him, he's obviously going to go to another big team and we're just going to watch them succeed and wonder what would have been. He'd be a great addition if we can get him. And honestly, you look at all the lists that are being circulated around of potential managerial candidates, he's, in my opinion, head and shoulders above the rest of the list. I mean, there's some good alternatives for sure, but I say, screw whatever's going on with Paratici. Don't focus on that at all. Levy and Joe Louis and everybody else on the Spurs board.
Yeah.
Go all in on this one guy. If it blows up, at least you tried something that I think like 99% of the fans can get behind, right?
Right. You did what everybody wanted you to do, right? Like that would be the saving grace.
Win or lose, at least you did something that is going to be a net positive in the fans' minds. The worst thing I think Levy can do is miss out on Nagelsmann, hire somebody who then fails, right? Regardless of whether or not they're set up to succeed, regardless of whether or not they were the best option, if it's not Nagelsmann, it's going to blow up in his face. He 100%. Needs to be very careful about this appointment. And look, I get it. If you wait until summer and you've got clubs like PSG or Real Madrid coming in for him as well, it's going to be very difficult to pick him up when that's your competition. I get that. But if you don't go all in for him and we end up with somebody else and it might go over well anyway, but, with the way that, I've seen fans clamoring for him online, I know my own personal biases are like all in on Nagelsmann. We missed out on him once going to Bayern. Like this is the time to rectify that. Like go all in, get him. If it fails, at least you've got the good faith of the fans. Cause even the most adamant Levy in crowd are starting to turn on him and recognize like he is not bringing us past the plateau. He's got us to a certain point. We've peaked and we're not getting over that. And people are going to start clamoring for him to, get sacked, to resign, to leave his post, unless he does something that is unanimously approved by the Spurs fan base. And I think Nagelsmann is the no-brainer there.
So that said, Steve, if you were to assign a percentage of likelihood that Nagelsmann deal gets done, what percentage do you think?
Based on the current situation today, I honestly think it's got to be 75-80%. If we get to the end of the season and PSG decides that they're going to part ways with Galtier, if Real Madrid decides, Ancelotti's going to Brazil, we need a new coach, then I think you start looking at like 40% or lower. It gets that much more difficult. And that's why it's so important. Like, he doesn't need to start right away. We've got Stellini and Mason to see out the last 10 games, but like, start those conversations, get him sold on the project.
Get the deal done. Yeah, get it done.
He's gone. He's gone. So like, he's been effectively parted ways with Bayern. So like, we can fuck around with him. Like, we can talk, we can do whatever we want. There's no rules being broken. If we talk to him, we get him in. It'll be similar to the situation that United were in with Ten Hag. So I would say that Levy would be smart just to get him in now. The thing about Nagelsmann is that, like, that dude, so we've seen in the past, like, if we don't get Nagelsmann in, or at least get a shot at De Zerbi, we're gonna end up in a. I don't think Gallardo is a chance. There's a chance that he's coming. I just don't think he's proven enough, on a world stage. But I think that if we don't go after somebody like Nagelsmann, who we have a shot at talking to right now, and then we don't get De Zerbi in, we're going to end up in a situation where we settle for somebody like Nuno again. And Nuno tried to pull that shit in his first, press conference, that he basically looked at like old videos of Pochettino, right? We're gonna make you happy. We're gonna make you proud again.
Make you proud, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Like that bullshit that he tried to pull, and we knew that as fans that Nuno wasn't the guy, right? But we tried to convince ourselves of that. We try to convince our podcast listeners of that it was like, he's the guy. Sure, yeah, he's doing this and this and this, but we knew all along. I think that, like, we have to look at this pragmatically, but at the same time, we have to be very very critical of Levy this time. Okay, I think we have to get somebody like Nagelsmann. He's young. He's very smart. He plays crazy attacking football, and like, he doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks, right? But he also is willing to change his system if he has to suit the players that he has. And the fact that, like, Bayern sat there and said, "You're not doing enough," is crazy to me. It blew my fucking mind that they're 1 point off. Obviously, like, Bayern has got the fucking league wrapped up usually by like fucking probably a month ago. Bayern's usually got the league wrapped up, but like, they've endured injuries. They've endured like lots of fucking. They have domestic cups that they're in. They have the Champions League that they're in, where the Champions League is more competitive this year than it has been in years. Bayern doesn't. I don't understand why they got rid of him to go to somebody like Tuchel. It drives me nuts. It really does. So I think that Nagelsmann is the right move right now for us, because he's young, he's smart, he plays attacking football the way that Daniel Levy knows that we want people to we want our managers to play. Bye, Steve. I love you. He's had enough of my shit.
He did. I didn't see the chat. He just disappeared.
He's like, fucking
deuces from Steve.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta go do it. I gotta go do another podcast.
Right. On what you're talking about though, like imagine if they hadn't parted ways with Nagelsmann. We'd be talking about Tuchel right now. We'd be talking about him as
he was
are we going to do that whole thing? You know,
I'm from what I understand, like, my reading comprehension is not the greatest, but from what I've read, like we were fucking like minutes away from like signing that dude.
Yeah, that's not good. It's not good. I'm glad he's in Germany.
Like I said, dude, he's a nose picker.
That's right.
He's a fucking weird dude. I don't like him.
Hey, what do you got on some closing thoughts to wrap us up? Anything else on your mind?
My closing thoughts are these, like, I think it's important that we get a manager in soon, but at the same time,
do you mean in or named? Would be more specific? What do you think?
No, like named. Okay. Obviously, they've already said that that Ryan Mason and Stellini are going to take the reins and go with it. Yeah. That's like in baseball. It's like your pitching coach and your assistant manager taking over.
Right.
It's like, Alex Cora gets fired. You got fucking,
like the first base coach and the pitching coach. Yeah. What are we going to do today? Huh?
Hey, how about this guy, the starting pitcher?
What you guys do? Let's go out and let's play ball. Let's play ball. Have fun, guys.
Just play ball. Have fun. I think it's going to be a new lease on life for the players. I think it's going to be great. It's not going to be great for Harry Kane. It's not going to be great. I don't think if we have an opportunity to sell Harry Kane in the summer, we're going to sell Harry Kane, especially if he wants to go. We have him for another year if we want him. But if you force him to stay rather than work with Harry Kane, he's going.
Mike on the blasphemy bandwagon with me. I like where you're going with that. Yeah.
No, I mean, like I
said last week, I said we need to sell Harry Kane. You guys were like,
if he wants to go, you have to sell him. If he wants to go and you can get the money for him, you have to sell him. But if I don't want to hire another manager right now just to appease Harry Kane. It hasn't worked.
Nope.
This shit hasn't fucking worked.
Nope.
Harry Kane liked Conte. Harry Kane liked Jose. Like, I don't know if he liked, he probably didn't like Nuno. Nobody liked Nuno. I think Nuno
he did hold out for a good chunk of
he looked
Nuno's,
cool. Nuno
tenure,
looked,
right?
Yeah, he did.
Right?
Yeah. HK10.
HK Florida man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that right now we have to, this is a time that Tottenham fans have to be we have to be a little patient. We're an impatient bunch because trophies. Dude, we're one of the top fucking 5-6 teams in the world's best league right now, which makes us one of the top 12 teams in the world. At the very least. Trophies mean a lot to fan bases, but they only mean a lot because social media and because the bullshit tabloids in fucking Britain tell us that they mean a lot. We're sitting in 4th right now. We're probably not going to end up there, but that right now, who fucking cares? Let's get a manager in that wants the project, that wants the challenge of taking a team that was put together for a purpose, but not on purpose. You know what I mean? Like they were put together for Conte, but like Conte didn't want to like use them in his system properly. Guys like Perisic who didn't work out, like that kind of shit, like that bothers me. And he was played. I think that we need to find a manager that's going to fit the players that we have, get rid of the players that are sitting out there on loan in places, make some money back, and take some time and be patient with this because a De Zerbi, a Nagelsmann, Gallardo, or whomever else, Poch, even if Poch comes back, I love you, Pochettino, but I don't want you back. I don't want you to ruin your ruin your legacy. But I honestly think that we just need to be patient, and that's my final word. Be patient.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, that's it, man. We're all done. Good
We're
work
done.
tonight. We're done. For listeners, we appreciate you. Steve, we miss you already. And Mike, if we're wrapping up, what would be the last thing you'd say?
The last thing we would say is be safe, everyone.
And you got a course.
Do you want me to do it? I mean, Lucas is probably not with us anymore, so
I think we should keep it. Even when Lucas is gone, I think we should keep it.
okay. I can tell you that my cursor is not working on my computer right now.
So what you're saying is you're not going to be able to end the recording, and we're going to have another 38-hour recording.
It could be. Cois.
And be safe, everyone.
Bye. Oh, this is fucked.
So you know what you can do? If you just shut your computer down, that'll probably shut it off, right? Oh. Nope, we're still live. Oh, I'm the host. There we go. All right. But you got to end. Can you end the YouTube or no?